Hello and welcome to another video tutorial brought to you by noxtt.com, enabling organizations through technology. Now before we get started, I just want to make a special note and mention that there are going to be multiple channels, sources, formats in which we're going to get the job done here. Because when you're opening an AWS account and you have to set up MFA, the way I'm going to show it, you're going to set up your multi-factor authentication using your mobile phone, and we're going to make use of the Google Authenticator app. What this does is every time you attempt to log in to your AWS account, the one we're going to create, you'll be prompted for some digits. You'll be prompted for a code, and this code is going to be provided to you using Google's Authenticator app. So you have to set up the Authenticator app to run with Amazon. We're also going to be using the magic of video recording. We're going to be pausing, restarting, pausing, restarting. Hopefully things will run smoothly. So let's get right into it. In today's tutorial, we're going to create an AWS account. The first URL is the final URL you will end up in, which is this. But that entire long address might be a lot to remember, so I'm just going to quickly show you how we're going to eventually get to this top URL by starting off with AWS.com. AWS.com is a lot easier to remember than this long thing here. As previously mentioned, we're going to set up the basic security for the account, such as multi-factor authentication using Google Authenticator. If we have time, we're going to create a user to manage all EC2 instances and other cloud resources using Amazon's Identity Access Management. I'm not too sure if we'll have enough time for 3, but let's make the most of it. So we may use some screen recorders on a mobile, for your mobile, so that you could kind of get a visual for what's going on and setting up the multi-factor authentication. We're going to use AZ Screen Recorder. We may also take some screenshots of various parts of that process, and hopefully it will help along the way. So let's get started. So this is the URL, but it's kind of long to remember this URL. So you can just type up AWS.com. You're going to come to this interface. You could say complete sign up. We're going to set up the root user. So I'm going to create a new account. And here we are, the same page. Now, if you wanted to get a visual for the apps for the mobile, we're using AZ Screen Recorder. And in order to set up the multi-factor authentication, you must use Google Authenticator, or at least for this example, we're going to use Google Authenticator. So this is what it will look like, just to give you a visual if you're going to install it on your phone. So let's get started. So we're going to sign up for our very first account. So I have an account already set up. Let's go. Going to set a password. You have to set a good password, else it's not going to be accepted. What is going to be the account name? And that should be it, noxtt.com. So we hit create. I may not be doing a lot of explanations. That's to keep the video time down. So I'm going to fill out these fields because they're going to ask me for my phone number. I'm going to pause it right here. You just normally what you would do is you enter your phone number, your country, you fill out the normal fields, and they are actually going to send you a code. We'll see what that looks like when we resume the video. Okay, so we're back, just to give you an idea of what happened in the background there. And something I forgot to mention at the start, we are going to create an AWS account using Amazon's free tier service. So yes, you will have to punch in a credit card or debit card information, you will have to punch in a valid phone number, address, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, we're using a free tier account, so there's no need to worry. However, you will have to constantly check, the billing console to ensure that you do not go over your free tier usage of various resources. So I just wanted to make that point. So we ran through the process of entering credit card information, name, phone number, address, etc. Amazon is going to send you an email. So you see I'm using the free tier, using the free tier account. I believe when you choose personal and signing up, it will automatically set you to the free tier because we didn't have to select free tier using the entire process. And they're going to give you a URL in which you can log in. This was an error that I encountered that I eventually overcame. So to access your root account, you can still enter the same AWS.com. It's going to take you to this page. You can say sign into console. And we are going to sign in using my credentials. So again, I'm just going to pause the video and then come right back in. Welcome back. So I've just logged into my Amazon account. Naturally, this would be a root account. Whenever you created or established a root account, the first thing you have to do is secure it. So to do that, we're going to go to IAM, which stands for Identity Access Management. Amazon would have already deleted your root access keys. This is what we're concerned with right now. This is important. We're going to activate our multi-factor authentication on your root account. So let's go to Manage MFA. So they offer you to change your password. That's up to you. The main thing I want to focus on for this video is activating our multi-factor authentication. So we're going to use the virtual MFA device. This is what the Google Authenticator app falls under. So you see it says here, install a compatible app on your mobile phone, device or computer, etc., etc., and then use your virtual MFA app on your device's camera to scan. So this is where it's going to get a bit tricky. So I'm just going to show the roadmap, and as much as possible, this is where we will utilize the other channels for information, which will include our mobile phone and mobile recordings. So first and foremost, you have to install Google Authenticator. That's this app here. When you install Google Authenticator, it's going to have a plus sign. And when you click that plus sign, it's going to ask you if to use a QR scan code or some other means. And you're going to choose the QR scan code. Now, when you choose the QR scan code, your camera is automatically going to come up and it's going to look for a QR code. That is where you will click Show QR Code and then put your phone over the graphic so that Google Authenticator can understand what you're doing. The moment that happens, the Amazon multi-factor authentication code is going to appear on your Google Authenticator code. And all you have to do after that is enter 2 consecutive codes. So I'm going to show you some screenshots on what that looks like, so that we can further understand this process. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause the video here, go back to my mobile phone where I have my easy screen recorder already set up. I'm going to record this process, and then we're going to run that video from the recording and explain what's going on. So we're going to go on another pause here. Okay, so we're back. We have set up our Amazon Google Authenticator code within our Google Authenticator app using this QR code. So you simply, when you hit Google Authenticator, It's going to ask you if you want to set up your account using a QR scan code. You say yes. Then you click the link that was here. You put your camera over this. It will automatically install the Amazon app. And then you have to enter 2 consecutive codes. So I will give screenshots on how it looks on the mobile app. There's a little clock that counts down, and every time the clock reaches that 360-degree point, a new code appears. So all you do, you're going to just simply enter 2 consecutive codes that the app gives you. Then you hit Assign MFA, and that's it. You successfully installed your multi-factor authentication. So so you can come out of this. That was one of the main objectives of this video. I believe it's probably a good time to pause again because I'm going to bring in what was recorded on my mobile phone just to show you what happened there. Okay, so while we're awaiting our mobile recording to upload, we can continue on with some other stuff because we were going to get done the creating of the account to manage all EC2 instances. So let's do that quickly. So what we're going to do here, just going to hit this back button. This looks good. We don't need anything here again. I guess we can go back to the control panel. We're going to look at the IAM. So the next, Amazon tells you, the steps you need to take. So they already deleted your keys. When you log in for the first time into your account, they're going to delete your keys. We just went through the process. Mobile recording of activating the MFA account. Now let's go quickly create an individual IAM user. Some people might want to first create a group, but we'll go ahead and create the user. So let's add a user. Access type, programmatic access. AWS Management Console access. Yes, we want this. We can create a custom password. We could also require a password reset. This will have to be considered when doing this in a production environment. This is just a demonstration of how you're going to set up your account. So we're not going to require a password reset for this user. We will, however, create a custom password for them. Of course, again, if it was a production environment, you would hit this so that when the user logs in for the first time, they would have to change their password. So noxtt.com admin, we want them to have programmatic access. This will give them SSH access into your system if you're using Linux, RDP if you're using Windows, etc. And we want them to have console access. So next. So it says add user to a group. Let's go ahead and create a group. So this group, we're going to give it the name of admin users, and we want them to have administrator access. For now, this will be sufficient. So the group has been created, and they have administrator access. So this is our group. This is the policy attached to the group. It has no users. We're going to add the user we just created. It's not finding our users. If you're a bit stuck, as I am now, we can always go back. We are doing a process on the IAM console. So okay, so we're back. We jumped the gun with the process. As I said, I couldn't navigate back to this screen. That's okay. Sometimes that happens. You just hit your services. We know we're dealing with IAM, Identity Access Management, and it brought us right back. So now it says create individual user. I think we did that already. Not too sure why it's. So let's just do it again. Gonna add our custom password. No need to reset the password upon logging in. Now we're getting the prompt to add user to the group. So we're going to add him to that group. We can add tags. There's no need for this, but let's go to review. So our group is admin users. Our admin users, noxtd.com admin user. This is the tag. The actual username of our users, noxtd.com admin. Everything looks here. We create the user. And that's it. Now this is very important. We need to download this CSV file. So let's do that. Okay, so this secret key access and access key ID, this is for the purposes of accessing your EC2 instance. We will deal with that in another video. If you want, you can always hit the send email option to send those instructions. But for now, that is important, and this URL is also important. When you create a new user, they're going to log in using this URL. We can demonstrate that with another browser. If we try to log in the same browser that you logged in with your root account, of course, it's going to bump you off of your login. So we just come over here to our friendly Firefox, enter the credentials. You see it already assigns the ID. It's asking for the username. That is what we created. Let's use the password that I created. The user doesn't have to reset the password upon logging in. Don't save. And we're in. So all I'm going to do now is just pause and show you that video on how we set up the MFA account. So we're back, and I'm just going to quickly run through what was done to set up our MFA account. So the first thing that I did here was install the Google Authenticator. I may fast forward for the purposes of time. So we eventually spelled Google Authenticator correctly. We hit the install button, wait for it to download, install. Then we're going to hit the open button. We got started. So I'm just going to pause right here. So you see it's asking scan a QR code. So this is the selection you're going to make. And simultaneously, when we were in our web console, you would recall there was an area where it asked you to click to see QR codes. So you would click that, and then from your phone, you hit scan QR code, and then you simply scan in your code by focusing the camera on the image. Once you did that, everything went through, and the Authenticator app was installed. Google has some very tight security, so it looked like they did not allow the recording of the entire process of the Google Authenticator, but don't worry, we have some screenshots on that will help. So let me get those screenshots up. All right, we're back, and this is just simply to give you a visual of what happens. So when you open up your Google Authenticator, once you've successfully registered the QR code, as I said, all you do is scan the QR code. It automatically installs, as you can see here, this Amazon Web Service root account, and it flashes these 6-digit codes. This is a timer. So every time this circle completes, a new code appears. You would recall the Amazon MFA authentication setup required 2 codes. So what you would do is you would enter 1 code, you wait for your circle to complete. Once it completes, it will issue another code. So you just enter 2 consecutive codes, and that's it to setting up your MFA authentication. So we were able to run through some interesting things here. We actually did have enough time to create our new EC2 admin account. This account, it will be responsible and has the ability to create new instances. So we can actually, this is on the Firefox login, and remember I logged in with my newly created admin user, EC2 admin user. So we can easily go to the EC2 side and create new services, create new EC2 instances. I'm having a little issue here, but that doesn't stop the presentation. We created our root account. We set up our basic security, MFA authentication, multi-factor authentication, MFA, using Google Authenticator. And we were able to create our admin account and log in for this new admin to administrate all our virtual machines. Hopefully in another video I will demonstrate that. You don't want to be administering your virtual machines or your instances using your root account. You would do that with your newly created admin account. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope you found it informative, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.